In the darkness of space, a single starship held its ground against the inevitable. Captain Elias Quinn stood on the bridge of the ESS Valkyrie, watching the fleet of alien dreadnoughts close in on Earth. The Excelarian Imperium had come to conquer, a race of towering insectoid beings known for their ruthless efficiency in battle. They were an ancient empire, stretching across 1,000 systems, and Earth-young, fragile Earth was just another conquest in their path. The United Earth Defense Force had fought valiantly but was hopelessly outmatched. Their ships were burning in orbit, and now only a handful remained. "Captain," Lieutenant Sarah Vega's voice trembled, "the fleet is within range of Earth. They'll begin the bombardment soon." Quinn clenched his jaw, staring at the tactical screen. Red dots representing the Excelarian warships surrounded Earth like a tightening noose. His ship, the Valkyrie, was one of the last standing, and it wasn't even built for combat. It was an old survey ship, retrofitted with makeshift weapons and shields. Not nearly enough to stop what was coming. But they had something the Excelarians didn't. Something that had been forged through centuries of struggle, perseverance, and defiance. "Bring us between them and the planet." Vega looked at him, her eyes wide. "Sir, that's suicide. We can't hold them off." "Do it," Quinn snapped. "We hold the line no matter what." The Valkyrie's engines flared as it moved into position. In the distance, Quinn could see Earth, its blue oceans and green continents, a stark contrast to the void of space. Home. His home. The home of billions of people who had no idea that the end was coming. "Weapons online," Chief Engineer Harris reported, his voice gruff but steady. "What little we've got anyway." Quinn nodded. "It'll have to do." He turned to the view screen, watching as the Excelarian fleet adjusted its formation. Their capital ship, the Obsidian Spear, loomed largest, a hulking mass of dark metal and glowing energy. It was said to be indestructible, a ship that had led countless planetary invasions. To the Excelarians, it was a symbol of their dominance. To Quinn, it was a target. "Focus all firepower on the Obsidian Spear," Quinn ordered. "If we can't stop the fleet, we can at least take out their flagship." Vega hesitated. "Sir, that ship's shields are impenetrable." "Maybe. But we're humans. We've done the impossible before." The bridge crew fell silent, understanding the gravity of his words. This wasn't just a battle. It was the last stand. If Earth was going to survive, it would need a miracle. Quinn's mind raced. There had to be a way. Something he could do, some tactic the Excelarians wouldn't expect. They were methodical, logical, ruthless. They thought in terms of overwhelming force, of crushing their enemies under sheer firepower. But Quinn knew something about humans that the Excelarians could never understand. "Vega," he said quietly, "open a channel to the Excelarians." Her eyes widened. "Sir?" "Do it." She nodded and tapped the controls. "Channel open." Quinn stepped forward, staring at the towering Excelarian commander who appeared on the view screen. Its eyes were cold, insect-like, and its mandibles clicked as it spoke. "Human," the Excelarian hissed. "You cannot win. Surrender now and your people will be spared." Quinn smiled grimly. "I don't think you know much about us." The Excelarian's head tilted, its expression unreadable. "You are a primitive species. Your technology is inferior. You have no hope of victory." Quinn nodded slowly. "Yeah, maybe. But you've made one mistake." The Excelarian commander's eyes narrowed. "And what is that?" Quinn's voice was calm, but his words burned with intensity. "You think we're fighting for survival? We're not. We're fighting for each other." The Excelarian commander remained silent, its mandibles twitching in confusion. "That's why you'll lose," Quinn continued. "You fight for conquest, for power. But we fight for our families, our homes, for the people we love. And that makes us stronger than you'll ever be." Before the Excelarian could respond, Quinn cut the transmission. He turned to Vega. Fire everything we have at the obsidian spear. Vega hesitated for only a moment before nodding. Aye, Captain. The Valkyrie's makeshift weapons blazed to life, sending a barrage of energy beams and missiles toward the Accelarian flagship. The obsidian spear's shields flared as they absorbed the impact, but something was different this time. The human weapons were far weaker than what the Accelarians were used to, but they were targeting specific weak spots in the shield matrix that the Accelarian engineers had overlooked. Quinn's gamble had paid off. The shields began to flicker. Direct hit! Vega shouted. Their shields are weakening. Keep firing, Quinn ordered, his voice steady. The Valkyrie unleashed another barrage, and this time, the shields failed completely. The Accelarian flagship was exposed. Target their engines, Quinn said. We're taking that shit down. Harris grinned as he redirected power to the weapons. With pleasure, Captain. The Valkyrie's weapons struck the obsidian spear's engines, sending explosions rippling across its hull. The massive ship began to list, its lights flickering as power failed. They're losing control, Vega reported. Quinn's heart raced. They had done it. Against all odds, they had taken down the enemy flagship. But the battle wasn't over yet. The rest of the Accelarian fleet was still advancing, and the Valkyrie was running on fumes. They wouldn't survive much longer. Captain, Harris said quietly, I've got an idea. Quinn turned to him, raising an eyebrow. What is it? Harris glanced at the tactical readout. The obsidian spear is still loaded with plasma torpedoes. If we can remotely detonate their arsenal, we could take out half their fleet in one shot. Quinn's eyes widened. Can we do that? Harris grinned. We're humans. We can do anything. Quinn nodded. Do it. Harris worked quickly, hacking into the Accelarian systems through the damaged flagship's exposed network. Seconds later, the plasma torpedoes aboard the obsidian spear began to overload. Detonation in 5 seconds, Harris called out. Quinn gripped the edge of his console, watching the Accelarian fleet on the viewscreen. The alien ships were closing in, but it was too late. The obsidian spear exploded in a blinding flash of light, and the shockwave ripped through the Accelarian fleet. Dozens of enemy ships were caught in the blast, torn apart by the plasma detonation. Cheers erupted on the bridge of the Valkyrie. We did it, Vega shouted, her voice filled with disbelief and joy. Quinn allowed himself a small smile, but he knew the battle wasn't over yet. The remaining Accelarian ships were regrouping, and the Valkyrie was barely holding together. Captain, Harris said, his tone more serious now. We've bought ourselves some time, but we're still outnumbered. Quinn nodded. I know. But Earth is still standing, and as long as we're here, we'll keep fighting. He turned to the crew, his voice filled with determination. We've shown them what humans are made of. They thought we were weak, but now they know the truth. We fight for each other. And that's why we'll win. The Valkyrie turned toward the remaining Accelarian ships, its battered hull still shining with defiance. As the human ship charged forward, ready to fight once more, Quinn knew that humanity's story was just beginning. They would fight. They would survive. And they would win.